Thing that I have for my Elite 110 is this windscreen that should help me a lot, and I wonder if it'll fit. So I'm trying to figure out a way to see if it does fit. So we're going to remove the mirrors to see if we can mount it. There is only one mount point here. So using, I believe it's a 10 millimeter, I'm just going to remove it. I've already loosened this one up. And this one is seized over here. I might have to work with that a little bit. With a torch really quick for one to expand. I'm heating up the bottom one. I've always thought that the SH was neglected, and this was completely seized. So I removed the left mirror. That's fine, it came off the threads, but the mirror broke inside. Then I removed the right mirror. The threads on the top came out, but it broke inside at the bottom. So useless. I have to do a bunch of work just to get this. See if I can get to the area that it needs to get out now. So I kind of have to gently pry it, and there we go. It took me a while to figure that out. There's only one screw, and this comes out as like one tiny little piece. So to remove the windscreen, this bike was never opened. So there's this bolt here. So there's 2 bolts per side on the existing windscreen. There we go. Windscreen is in. And now I can mount my mirrors onto here. It is not ideal at all, but shakes a bit. But the windscreen really blocks the wind, and in the winter, that's kind of like what I wanted. That's why I kept this windscreen. I took it off my Honda Elite 110, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna install it on here. Here we go. Here's the SH with the new windscreen. So much bigger. Doesn't look as good with the big windscreen, but you know, I don't really care. I think I want to get a little bit warmer to work. I think that's the important thing for me, is just being comfortable. Sporty is good in the summer and spring, but once it starts to get cold, you'll thank me later for this. But the SH has been pretty brilliant as a bike. You know, the 16-inch wheels are motorcycle-sized wheels, and that is something really good about this thing. You would think that the large wheels would somehow be worse, but they're so much better than the little tiny wheels. They make it much more stable. And this bike, it is expensive. You know, with that windscreen, it does look pretty bad, but it doesn't look terrible either. It's got a 1-disc brake rotor up front. It's got a belt, and then it's got like a drum brake in the rear, which you don't need anything more. It's a 150cc, so you're not going to go that fast. This is pretty much a must on the SH, the trunk space, and I kind of would like a little bit bigger one, because the under-seat storage compartment, and by the way, I use a key like this, it is tiny. The good thing nowadays is that you can put masks, and the gas is here, and then it just trickles down to the motor, so it doesn't use a fuel pump. So less to worry about. The blinkers are integrated, if you notice. That's kind of like a nice European touch. You see still a lot of bikes now, even my Super 10 Ray, they still have the little stalks. And in a way, okay, if you drop it and somehow it gets busted, then it'll be a lot more expensive to replace. But if you had the little stalks, it would break, but there's so many of those little stalks, turn signals, that would be cheap. But this one, I find that you will damage this and the rack and the trunk. You're not really going to bust up the turn signals. So the turn signals up front, though, are the little stalks, but in the rear they are integrated. So it's kind of odd. Up here, it's liquid cooled, so there's 2 bolts and you can pull this out very easy. This is a very substantial plastic, and you can reach your coolant reservoir, you can reach the fuses through there. Your battery sits over here, and to pull it out you have to open the seat, and there's 2 bolts here and that pops out. There's a couple of things that annoy me because everything is like really covered up. So if you didn't have this windscreen, this would be completely smooth and it looks great if you're in Tuscany or something like that. But if you're out and you want a GPS, you have very limited amount of space to mount things. And one thing I like about bikes with handlebars is that they have space to mount GPSs. This one does not. Very difficult to mount. So in a way, this is a good idea to have the windscreen, because it does give you a few more options for mounting accessories. But I think a lot of people are not going to be getting accessories for a scooter, because a scooter is going to be living in the city. Nobody really is going to be exploring out in back roads that they need a GPS. I am a big fan of GPSs because I get lost constantly, but this bike is kind of a phenomenal bike. Very smooth engine, very fast for what it is. It never loses speed going uphill. If you've had a 50 going uphill, they do lose speed. So this one does not, and it rides like a motorcycle. So if you're thinking about getting a scooter and you're wondering if you're going from a motorcycle to a scooter, that maybe the scooter might be a little bit too shocking as far as handling, the 16-inch wheels will make you feel at home because it resembles a motorcycle. If you were to get the 10-inch or 12-inch wheels, it would be very scooter-like. It would be really flickable and very unpredictable on some of these very rough roads. So this is a much more compliant ride. It's much more comfortable. Even though the seat, it's kind of odd. It's a big seat, but I keep sliding to the front all the time. So the way they shaped it is very odd. One of the big downsides is that this bike does hold its value, because people do like these 2010 SHs and Elite 110s. But the big problem really is that they only made this in the United States, or they only brought it here in the United States for a year. So you're going to be spending a lot of money on parts if you ever need anything, and you might be spending a lot of time researching parts. Of course, this is a Honda, so it doesn't really break down very much, but if it does, be prepared for very long waits. The good thing is that this bike has a lot in common with the PCX from Honda, so you can probably get parts for it. The styling on it is pretty neat. Like if you look at it, there's this kind of flow. It's like a wave, and it even has a line going with the rear passenger foot pegs. So it's styled very well. This bike was styled, I believe, in Italy. So styling wise is great, and then couple it with the Japanese engineering for reliability. You have a recipe for a hell of a good scooter. Too bad they only brought it here in 2010.